The Emperor in the night. The candles burn low in the palace of Rome. Outside, the empire stirs. Soldiers guard the marble corridors. The faint sound of the city hums through the walls. But within one room, an emperor sits alone, writing by dim light. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the greatest empire the world had ever seen, does not write about conquest, or politics, or wealth. He writes about the mind, about pain, about death, about how to live with dignity in a world that will one day forget you. His words were not written for the public. They were written to himself, private reminders in the silence of night. Notes on how to stay calm amid chaos, how to master one's emotions, and how to remain good when the world is cruel. This emperor, surrounded by power, reminds us that the truest empire lies not in the world outside, but within the soul, in how we rule our thoughts, our reactions, our fears at night. As you listen, let the echoes of his wisdom guide you toward that same quiet strength, is stoic peace that endures even when the world feels heavy. The weight of power. To rule an empire is to carry the world upon your shoulders. But Marcus Aurelius understood something that few in history ever have. That power does not free you from suffering. It only changes its shape. Every day, he faced the burden of decisions that would affect millions of lives. War, famine, betrayal, death. The same world that praised him demanded from him endlessly. He wrote, "It is possible to be happy even in a palace." But that was not a declaration of comfort. It was a challenge to himself. He knew that no position, no wealth, no honor could shield the human heart from anxiety, loss, or pain. Whether emperor or beggar, all men wrestle with the same inner storms. And so, Marcus turned inward, seeking refuge not in luxury, but in discipline. He practiced what the Stoics called atraxia, tranquility of the soul. He reminded himself that the universe is beyond control, that everything he owns, every person he loves, every moment he cherishes, can vanish in an instant. And yet, he must remain calm, because the power that matters most is not dominion over others, but mastery over the self. So as you breathe slowly, remember this: the greatest weight you will ever carry is not what life places upon you, but what your mind refuses to let go of. The nature of control. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, and us, of a simple truth that few ever live by: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In these words lies the entire backbone of Stoic philosophy. The world is unpredictable, indifferent, and vast beyond comprehension. Empires crumble, loved ones fade, fortunes vanish, and even the strongest bodies decay. Yet amid this uncertainty, there remains one constant: the mind. Marcus believed that suffering is born not from what happens to us, but from how we interpret what happens. When we try to control what cannot be controlled, we exhaust ourselves. When we accept what cannot be changed, peace begins to form in the silence that follows. Each time Marcus picked up his pen, he reminded himself that most pain comes from resistance, from wishing the world to be other than it is, and so he practiced surrender, not as weakness, but as wisdom. He learned to meet each event, loss, betrayal, exhaustion, with quiet dignity, asking only, "Can I act rightly here? Can I choose virtue?" Even now, that is the Stoic's power. That is real control. As you listen, let this truth settle deep into your breath. You cannot master the world, but you can master how you move through it, and that is enough. The art of acceptance. Acceptance, for Marcus Aurelius, was not resignation, it was courage. The courage to look life directly in the face and say, "You may do what you will, but I will remain calm. Every night, as he wrote his meditations, Marcus practiced this art. He would list what had gone wrong that day, the deceit of others, the failures of his own temper, the endless weight of responsibility. Then, instead of cursing it, he would write. It was bound to happen. This was not indifference, but understanding. The Stoics taught that every event unfolds from a chain of causes stretching back to the beginning of time, nature's way, indifferent to our wishes. To resist it is to fight against reality itself, and so Marcus accepted when others wronged him. He reminded himself they act according to what they believe is good. When fate struck him with pain, he said, "What befalls me is natural to me. This is not fatalism. It is freedom, because when you accept life as it is, you stop demanding that it conform to your desires. Acceptance is the stillness that follows. Understanding, it is the space between reaction and response. And in that quiet space, peace grows, not as an escape from pain, but as its transformation doth so as your breath slows and your body softens." Remember Marcus's quiet wisdom. You cannot choose what happens, but you can choose how to meet it. The impermanence of all things. Marcus Aurelius walked through marble halls surrounded by gold, banners, and the echoes of his own power. Yet he never allowed himself to forget how temporary it all was. He wrote, "Consider how swiftly all things vanish, bodies into the earth, fame into oblivion, and the very elements into transformation." To him, impermanence was not a cause for despair, but a medicine against pride, greed, and attachment. He knew that time erases everything. The monuments of emperors, the faces of loved ones, the words of kings, and instead of fearing this truth, he welcomed it, because impermanence means freedom. If all things fade, then no loss is final, and no possession truly yours to keep. When we cling, we suffer. When we release, we breathe. This is the heart of Stoicism, to live fully, yet lightly, to appreciate deeply, yet without demand, to see beauty in passing clouds, knowing they will never return the same way again. Marcus wrote, "All that you see will soon perish, and those who witness it will soon perish too. But beneath that darkness is something luminous. A gentle reminder that the present moment is all we ever truly have. So as the world fades into silence round you, take comfort in what remains, this breath, this awareness, this brief, eternal now, the calm within chaos." Imagine Marcus Aurelius sitting in his tent on a cold night, the empire at war, soldiers restless, and the weight of Rome pressing on his mind. Yet, in the middle of this storm, he wrote words of stillness. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. For Marcus, calm was not the absence of problems. It was mastery over reaction. The world outside could be burning, but if the inner citadel remained untouched, peace endured. He understood that chaos is constant, in politics, in people, even in our thoughts. But chaos only conquers those who try to fight it. The Stoic doesn't fight the storm. He stands in it, unmoved, observing its nature, and letting it pass. He trained his mind like a warrior sharpens his sword, with discipline, awareness, and detachment. When anger came, he asked, "Will this matter tomorrow?" When fear rose, he reminded himself, it's not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them. True calm, then, isn't something you find. It's something you build. It's the silent strength that grows when you stop demanding life to be easy and instead become unshakable. No matter what it brings. So tonight, as your thoughts swirl and the world feels heavy, remember Marcus's wisdom. You cannot control the noise outside, but you can quiet the noise within. The art of letting go. Marcus Aurelius knew that much of human suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from our refusal to let things go. He wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." This wasn't denial. It was clarity. He understood that holding onto pain, anger, or regret only keeps the wound open. The Stoic mind doesn't cling. It observes, accepts, and releases. Every moment, Marcus reminded himself that everything is bowed. Your body, your breath, your possessions, your loved ones, even your life itself, all of it is temporary. When you accept that truth deeply, loss no longer destroys you. You realize that nothing truly belongs to you, and therefore, nothing can truly be taken away. Letting go doesn't mean not caring. It means caring without attachment. It's the freedom to love without fear, to act without expectation, to live without resistance. When you stop grasping for a permanence in an impermanent world, a strange peace arrives. You stop fighting time. You stop fighting change. You simply float so as you prepare to rest. Take a deep breath, feel the weight of what you're holding onto, and exhale it. Because peace begins the moment you stop clinging to what was never yours to control. Impermanence and the beauty of the present moment. Marcus Aurelius often began his reflections by reminding himself of one simple, unshakable truth. Everything passes. He wrote, "All that you see will soon perish. And those who witness this perishing will soon perish themselves. Too many." These words sound dark, but to Marcus, they were liberating. He wasn't trying to depress himself. He was trying to wake up. He understood that impermanence is not something to fear. It's what gives life its texture, its urgency, its fragile beauty. Think about it. If you were immortal, would you cherish the sunrise? Would you treasure a quiet evening with someone you love? Would you savor a single breath? Probably not. It is because everything ends that anything matters at all. The Stoics viewed time like a river, always flowing, never still. The present moment is the only place where you can truly live, because it's the only place that actually exists. Marcus wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. Understand what happens to you or around you as belonging to the order of the universe, and accept it fully." When you stop wishing for things to last forever, you begin to see them clearly, not as possessions to keep, but as gifts to experience, even your struggles, your anxieties, your imperfections. They, too, are temporary visitors. When you stop fighting them, they lose their power. So, as you lie there, listening and breathing, remember, this moment, right now, is enough. You don't need to reach forward or backward in time. Everything you need already lives here. In this breath, in this heartbeat, in this stillness. Acceptance, finding peace in what you cannot change. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, sickness, and death. Yet in his private writings, he rarely complained. Instead, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this. And you will find strength." Acceptance, from Marcus, was not passive resignation, it was clarity. It was seeing reality as it is, without twisting it through anger, fear, or desire. When something happens, we instinctively label it as good or bad, but Marcus challenges that reflex. He asks, what if things simply are? It's not the event that disturbs you, it's your judgment about it, and that judgment you can change. He believed the world is governed by a rational order, logos, and unshakable natural law. Every loss, every success, every hardship fits into that cosmic pattern. When you resist it, you suffer. When you align with it, you become calm. He wrote, "Love only what happens, what was destined. No greater harmony. That doesn't mean you stop trying to improve your life. It means you stop fighting the uncontrollable. You don't argue with the storm. You adjust yourselves. In your own life, there will always be things you can't fix, people you can change, outcomes you can't control. But the Stoic way is not to drown in frustration. It's to stand firm in serenity, saying, this, too, is part of the design. Acceptance is not weakness. It's mastery, the mastery of one's own inner weather. You don't need calm seas to feel peace. You learn to be still inside the storm. So, as your thoughts drift and your body grows heavier with rest, let go of everything you're trying to hold. Whatever has happened today, let it be. Whatever tomorrow brings, let it come. You have survived every challenge so far. You can trust yourself to face what comes next. Detachment and the illusion of control. Marcus Aurelius understood a truth that most of us spend our entire lives resisting. We control almost nothing. Not the future, not other people, not even our own bodies in the end. He wrote, "Do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do. And you will go on well." This isn't defeatism. It's liberation, because the more you try to control what isn't yours to command, the more miserable you become. You fight the flow of life and drown in your own expectations. Marcus lived in the heart of power, Emperor of Rome, surrounded by politics, armies, and endless demands. Yet he practiced detachment, the art of not letting external chaos infect the soul. He treated success and failure, praise and insult, victory and loss as equal illusions. They come, they go, none of them define the man who remains centered within. He wrote often about the inner citadel, a fortress inside your mind where peace cannot be taken from you. That fortress is built not by closing yourself off from the world, but by releasing your dependency on it. Ask yourself, how much of your pain comes from wanting things to be different than they are? How much anxiety is born from chasing control over what never belonged to you? Marcus's wisdom was simple. Detach not from life, but from illusion. Detach from the idea that the universe owes you comfort. Detach from the fantasy that people must act as you expect. Detach from the belief that your worth depends on how the world treats you. When you stop grasping, the world stops slipping through your fingers. When you let go of the illusion of control, you finally gain the only control that matters over your own response. So, as you lie still and breathe, imagine that fortress within you. A quiet place untouched by the noise of the world. A place where nothing can disturb you unless you give it permission. That is your power, and no emperor ever had more. Impermanence and the shortness of life. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that life is fleeting, fragile, and unpredictable. He wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. Time is the only resource we cannot regain. Each moment lost is gone forever, yet we waste countless hours chasing trivialities, clinging to grudges, and worrying about what we cannot control." The Stoic response is radical simplicity. Focus on what matters now. We cannot lengthen life, but we can live it fully. We cannot stop the inevitable, but we can approach it with dignity. Marcus knew that awareness of mortality sharpens the mind and purifies the spirit. Death is not something to fear. It is the frame that gives meaning to the painting of life. Every breath becomes precious when you know it will not last forever. Every encounter, every act of kindness, every moment of reflection gains depth when we embrace its impermanence. He wrote, Begin each day as if it were the last, and make it meaningful. And in that, he found calm, not because the world had stopped being chaotic, or pain had disappeared, but because he had surrendered to its rhythm. The shortness of life became a gift, a reminder to live awake, present, and undistracted. As you listen and sink deeper into rest, remember this: the moments you have now are enough. They are all you truly possess. Breathe, accept, and let the brevity of life guide you gently into peace. Conclusion: Stoic stillness for the night. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that life is both fragile and relentless, filled with chaos, loss, and uncertainty. Yet within that truth lies the path to calm, not through escape, not through denial, but through awareness, acceptance, and inner mastery. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that life is both fragile and relentless, filled with chaos, loss, and uncertainty. Yet within that truth lies the path to calm, not through escape, not through denial, but through awareness, acceptance, and inner mastery. Tonight, as you breathe slowly and sink deeper into rest, imagine Marcus's wisdom settling like a soft weight across your mind. Let the impermanence of all things free you. Let acceptance soothe you, and let detachment guide you into the quiet sanctuary within. This is not just philosophy, it is practice. The Stoic stillness Marcus lived by is available to you now, if only you allow yourself to release the need to fight what cannot be changed. Sleep with this knowledge: you are alive in a fleeting world, yet within you exists a calm no storm can touch, a wisdom no fear can diminish, and a peace that endures even as the night deepens.